A few months ago, I made a video on an at the time upcoming indie game called Welcome to Dolltown. In my initial video, I stated I was interested in it, but it definitely had a lot of problems to fix before it could be released. Anyways, flash forward to now, and just like wild animals held by hillbillies, it was unfortunately released onto this world like a plague to wipe us out. So yeah, the final game is a bit of a mess, but I am not one to write off hot messes immediately. I mean, I am one after all. But this isn't just some normal mess. No, this game is a dumpster fire that's slowly burning down your neighborhood. To give you a rundown of this game, I'm gonna rehash my opinions from my first video. You don't have to watch that video for this to make sense, and in fact, actually just don't watch that video, it kinda sucks. Welcome to Dolltown is a PS1-style survival horror game heavily inspired by Silent Hill and Y2K aesthetics. The game was primarily advertised via TikTok, Reels, and other such doom scrolling. The ads were mostly focused on the game's combat system and how you were able to do WWE-style finishers and other weird stuff in the game. It got a decent following from this, and the release of the demo helped push the game a little more. Nothing huge, this is by no means at all mainstream, but nonetheless the game had a fan base. And as we all know, with great fame comes controversy. Initially, the main controversy surrounding the demo and the dev as a whole were the use of AI, cosmetic DLC for a game not even finished, missing features, a general lack of polish, and the dev's dismissal of almost all criticism. Even still, the game trucked onwards to its inevitable release. What could go wrong? The game got delayed. Now, at this point in time, I was beginning to think that this game may not get released, ever. The demo was rough, the dev was drowning in controversies, and the fucking game still looked like this. Plus, the game was still selling cosmetics and had some kind of income at least, so this kinda made the game look like a scam in my eyes. The reasoning the dev gave for the delay was that Steam, GOG, and itch all hadn't approved Dolltown for release, which is very concerning. You're telling me not one of them wants your ass and I'm supposed to trust you? Imagine if a chef served you a burger, but beforehand he mentioned every health inspector who ever looked at it, deemed it unsafe for human consumption. So you can eat that burger or what? So yeah, I kind of thought the game would never actually come out, but oh god, did it, and I don't think it should have. So, let's get into the game for real now. The premise is you play as this girl named Yumi. Her personality consists of references and occasionally wrestling people. She reminds me of what I was like in high school, and that is not a compliment. Overall, she's inoffensive, but she's also not interesting even a bit. Thankfully, she's not the only character you play as, but I'm gonna edge you a bit before we get into them. You enter this town called Cleveland, Oregon. Cleveland was once famous for its lifelike dolls made by famous Family Guy character Cleveland Brown. You then meet, Franklin, the child of the doll man. She shows you around this town, and now you are playing Hello to Mannequinville, which brings me to the gameplay. This gameplay is like ass. Mega ass, even. I said this as well in my demo review, but yeah, the game still feels like I'm trying to sing karaoke out of my asshole. For starters, the game's frame rate is spotty as shit, which isn't how it was in the demo, so I have no idea what went wrong. But these are all technical issues, which I can forgive given that this is the dev's first full game. With that said, this game was seemingly coded predominantly by AI, so maybe if they actually made the damn game themselves, it would have been better. But the actual controls themselves, on the other hand, yeah, that's just bad design. Oh my god, playing this makes me feel like my hands are converging on each other. You hold the trigger to block and mash X to punch and only punch, no other attacks. Your character has all the precision of a Zamboni and you move as fast as one too. Plus, this map is goddamn huge, but there's nothing to do. So have fun accomplishing tasks at the speed of a rock. Worst part is, there's like nothing to do in this big ass map. You can change costumes and you only need to visit like 3 locations for story events. Everything else is just pointless. You can find some enemy encounters, but you don't get anything for fighting them except for the rare chance that you'll get to do a finisher. Speaking of which, yeah, remember how wrestling moves were like the only reason people wanted to play this fucking game? All they are is a random button prompt that will pop up sometimes in fights. You have no control over when you get them. Once you press the button, the fucker just drops and you go on with your day. Awesome. At least the finishers themselves look great. I mean, at least you can taunt whenever you want. And not only that, but the enemies will hit the stanky leg too if they beat your ass, because why not, I guess. This game also isn't hard, but sometimes you'll just get hit with a wombo combo and get forced to eat shit. Other than that, piece of cake. And not one of the puzzles are tough. And you know what? While I'm bitching, the camera is just not good at all. Sometimes you can control it, but when you can't, it's just... Game feels like ass, it runs like ass, and it even smells like ass. That last one could also be me, though. Everything you do just feels like it was made as an afterthought and nothing was ever playtested. For Christ's sake, the game doesn't even have a map you can check whenever you want, which most games that Dolltown is taking inspiration from did have. But that's just the gameplay. Is the rest of it any good? There are tons of games that I adore with kinda shit gameplay. So honestly, if the story, characters, and whatnot were great, I could forgive this game. Oh god, no. I'm gonna get into the story now, so if you care about spoilers, I guess leave, but honestly, I doubt anyone actually cares. So the plot goes, Franklin from earlier had a sister named Mio, who was bullied to the point of suicide, and Cleveland Brown brought her back to life as a cursed doll. I'd like to give this game half a compliment here. While pretty bad in its execution, this is a really interesting hook for a game on paper. It's the classic vengeful ghost you feel sympathy for, and there are some good scenes sprinkled into this game. But outside of those sparse good moments, this interesting premise is wasted. Like, this story is ass, to a point that I could be convinced this is parody. And fuck, maybe it is. This game tries to be cute and have a ton of references like it's goddamn scary movie for weebs, but at the same time it features some extremely heavy topics that I think I'm supposed to take seriously, but these depictions feel so out of place in a game that makes both a 420 joke and a Persona reference at the same time. I could show you 1,000 out-of-place screenshots from this game, but to really explain the shit show in front of you, here's an in-depth summary of the plot. So, after you arrive in Stinky Town, Frank tells you to go to the convenience store to open it, I think. They don't ever say what you're actually doing here. I think you're the new person running the shop, but if you are, you do a terrible job, because immediately after turning on the power, you go into the back and find this girl literally chilling. Don't worry though, Franz Ferdinand is here to explain that this is just a doll. Though it is a doll of a girl who did actually get the Ice Age special. You get hit with this flashback that shows how this happened. Turns out this was the girlfriend of Mio, you know, the possessed doll girl. While playing hide and seek, Mio's girlfriend, whose name I can't be bothered to remember, hid in this freezer and got locked in it. Just keep a pin in this for later. But for now, this scene is a nightmare to play. You go even slower than the rest of the game, and all you do is walk left and right at breakneck speeds. After that, you say fuck your job and go on an adventure to stop Mio from horror farming on the school roof, I guess. They explain it later in the game, but it's not really clear at this point what she's doing. People keep saying you're the girl who's gonna save Dolltown, but there's like nothing actually happening here. Sure, there's the dolls standing everywhere, but they don't do anything, so what's the damn problem? So anyways, off to go save Dolltown from the lesbians. You need to go to this mansion because the other sister told you to. No, seriously, there's no other reason than she just wants you to check out her crib. You do a puzzle to find a Lego piece, which, by the way, Dev, that's a copyrighted word. You can't just say that. This game is a fucking lawsuit waiting to happen. I think Badwish Games better call Saul. You use this nondescript building block to enter the mansion where you encounter the first boss of the game. I think she's the mother of the two sisters, but they never explain why she looks like that, and more importantly, why she's not a doll, but just an evil bastard. Seriously, this inclusion is so fucking stupid. Why is she here with no introduction and is never mentioned again? What is her problem? This boss sucks. The camera gets stuck all the time, and if she corners you, you just lose. But if you corner her, it's impossible to lose. Editor's note. While working on this, I realized that this is not only the first boss of the game, but also the only one. Just great work, Badwish. Real excited for that DLC that's totally coming out. Afterwards, you get another flashback, this time of Mio's life. You see her getting a pet cat, her death, and eventually you see how the doll dude brought her back to life in this genuinely well done scene. The scene is moody, has great suspense, and a wonderful payoff. It's one of the few highlights here. Too bad this great scene is stuck in this fucking game. Next, Frank tells you to go to the school and face Mio, which is kinda weird when you think about it. That's her sister. Why the hell am I doing her dirty work? Get off your ass, dog, and go talk to your damn sister! I get that she's also a doll, despite that never being explicitly said or even hinted at outside of the model having doll joints. But like, why am I doing this? I thought I was just running the 7-Eleven. Whatever, I go into the stupid school and play the rest of the stupid game. This part fucking sucks. You just go back and forth to different rooms doing nothing but turning on light switches. There's a single door slamming scare and one doll encounter and nothing else. Afterwards, you get, guess what? Another goddamn flashback. This one shows the bullying Mort faced in school. I know this is supposed to be taken seriously, but Dirty Lesbian is the funniest thing I've read in a while. Dirty Lesbian? Yeah, that's what they call me on a Saturday night, you know what I'm saying? Thank you. I'll be here all night. Then you get this wonderful line.
No. Wait. Wait. No.
Yeah, this is awful on all levels, and this one sentence pissed me off so much, it makes me want to bitch about it. For starters, ew. Secondly, all of these characters are presumably minors, more on that later. Why are you writing this? Lastly, no one has ever said this while bullying someone. This makes no fucking sense. The scene is such a train wreck on all levels. I will not hear anyone out on it. Anyone tries to actually me on this scene, you're a fucking loser and you like piss. R. Kelly looking ass. Fuck, where were we? Oh, right. After the developer's barely disguised fetish is over with, you do some walking around and you get another fucking flashback. It's set immediately after the last one. It shows the other lesbian getting jumped in a classroom. But before that, you get the worst design choice for a cutscene ever. Mio gets scolded by the principal for being late. His daughter's one of the bullies, he gives her special treatment, who fucking cares? But while this is happening, you have to manually go forward with every dialogue pop-up. But if you skip through them too fast, the fuck-ass principal makes you start from the beginning of his shitty monologue. Not only is this just a fundamentally dumb thing to include, but what this game deems reading too fast is just pure bullshit. This is the part of the game most people gave up on, and a lot of people who played this were so baffled, they thought it was a bug. And the dev, being the wonderful person they are, insisted that everyone who couldn't understand the world's shittiest design choice was just too stupid to understand the genius of the piss game. After Mio carries her historical best friend out the school like she's Batman at the end of Arkham City, you get the big twist of the game. Turns out it was Mio who locked her girlfriend in the freezer because if love is a sin, call me the devil? I think the motivation is something like, if I can't have her, no one can, but just very badly done. Also, while working on this voiceover, I noticed a pretty big plot hole. The whole premise is Mio died, then was resurrected by her father, and it's like Pet Sematary. She was good before, but now she's an evil bastard because you shouldn't bring back the dead and all that. But Mio killed her girl before she was brought back to life, and they keep going on about how she wasn't evil before all this, but like, that's just not the fucking case. She just iced her woman. Then you get another fucking flashback, this time to the cat, where now the bullies have broken into her house to fucking murder the cat? This is genuinely the most comically evil shit ever. It actually reads like the original Jeff the Killer creepypasta. After some very, very, very slow cat gameplay, you escape the house where you get this one scene that I almost like. It shows Mio jumping to her death and the cat going next to her body to lie down. This would be a very touching scene if it weren't for this goofy ass police lineup. For context, they have this police tape up before she even hit the floor. Like, what are you guys doing standing around doing nothing like real police officers? She's still up there, someone go get her! Then you see what she did after she came back to life. She kidnapped and tortured at least one of the bullies, maybe more of them, but they never actually show or say if she did. But oh look, it's the girlfriend to tell you murder is bad actually, and now you get to choose if Mio says no, I'm not evil actually, JK, or if she says nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. No matter what choice you make, you get the same ending, just a different cutscene beforehand. By the way, why am I making this choice in a flashback? Isn't this supposed to have already happened? Why do I have a choice to make, especially when I'm not even playing as this bitch? The actual ending is stupid. With that said, however, on both of my recorded playthroughs, OBS was unable to properly record the ending, so here's a description of it with some very scuffed visuals. If you ask me, this is more fitting, really. You wake back up as Yumi on the battle bus, but this time in an unfucked version of Cleveland. You bump back into the not evil sister, I'm out of funny names to call her, I'm sorry, but then all of a sudden the bullies approach, and credits roll with a post-credit scene sequel tease. Fucking what? God, this was a lot. Most of it not good at all, but I'm not fully a dickhead, and there were some actual standout moments, so I'll applaud those for a bit. When the frame rate isn't shitting itself, some of the visuals are really aesthetic. Plus, I do feel this game had good intentions with its story. At least I hope there were some good intentions, despite the bad execution. I also really like the character designs most of the time. It's pretty hard to make an iconic horror design now, and I feel this game does try to, at least. Unfortunately, that's it for the good. Dolltown is really bad. The tone is the main issue here. The plot rapidly swaps between funny haha references to very serious subjects within minutes of each other, and you have no time to actually take in anything. It feels like the story is torn between being a referential over-the-top parody or a serious take on the genre, and because of this, the game doesn't do either very well. It's too goofy to take seriously, but it's too downbeat to be fun. Plus, the length is pitiful. I'm not against hour-long games or even shorter ones, but for both the price and what this was trying to do, an hour is barely enough time to flesh out anything here. If this was maybe between 3 to 5 hours, I could see these ideas being done better. With that said, I don't think I would have actually wanted to play more of this game, so maybe this is a blessing in disguise. I really do see a world where this game was pretty good, had it just stuck to one idea instead of doing both of these themes badly. But no, we get the game with wrestling quick time events and the school pisser. Fuck, that line really is the worst part of this game. I wonder if the dev will remove it like they removed the minimap that was supposed to be in the final game. On the topic of that, the dev has made some very interesting decisions around this game. The store page kept changing daily, removing any mention of content not in the final game. Which good, you're not advertising something not in the game anymore, but why were you doing it in the first place? Why show a minimap if it's not gonna be in the actual game? In this GIF I found, this is a location also not in the final game. On top of that, there's also mentions of a factory that, guess what, it's not in the fucking game. Even more shit, a skateboarding element, emotes not in the final game, a consistent fucking frame rate. Plus, as I alluded to earlier, Dolltown had cosmetic DLC available for purchase that featured costumes based on pre-existing IPs, which is weird and possibly illegal. Look, I'm not fucking Saul Goodman, I'm just the talking PNG, but it doesn't take a genius to realize that this at the very least opens you up to being sued. With that aside, isn't it kinda lame you have to rely entirely on already invented characters you had no involvement with to make costumes? That's all without considering how much the DLC cost, which was a crisp $100. I understand the high price is mostly to support the dev and help fund future projects, but like still, that's fucking ludicrous for costumes you didn't originally design. Honestly, I don't even know if I would have been okay with the price had they been original designs, but the fact that they aren't makes me really not okay with it. Not only all that, but the dev refuses to take any criticism of the game at all and insists everyone else is just wrong and Dolltown is perfect, despite the fact that it's obviously fucking not. They also claim there is absolutely no AI in the final version, but that English translation sure is bad. If you did actually pay someone to translate this and this is what you got, dear lord, you need to get your money back. But don't worry, Badwish said on Twitter the game is getting an Xbox, PS5, and Switch 2 version, and DLC. Oh fucking god. I'm not gonna go through everything they said because there's a lot. I just need you to get an idea of how fucked their Twitter feed is and the things they say on their public Discord. Originally, I had a very different ending for this video. I initially wanted to end on a positive note about Dolltown and be hopeful for the future of Badwish games, but honestly, while doing the voiceover, I realized just how fundamentally awful this game is on all levels. Like, it was always bad in my mind, but fuck, the more it sits, the worse it feels. The biggest thing that I keep thinking about is that pissing line. Like, just such a weird, out-of-place thing that nobody would ever find anything other than perverse interest in, that it's a little upsetting. There's nothing wrong with fetish and sexual material and media as a whole, but not with kids. I don't give a shit that the dev said they're all 18 after people got mad, because these are clearly supposed to be perceived as underage schoolgirls. What explanation is there for these 18-year-olds supposed to be in high school for? Plus, the characters themselves definitely look much younger than 18. Even in the flashback with Mio, she looks the same at 10 and 18. I know Badwish said on Discord that the game isn't supposed to be sexual in nature, but that's bullshit. Panty shots, revealing outfits, the piss line, yeah, it looks real fucking pure to me. If you're gonna fetishize, at least own it. It's uncomfortable and makes me feel worse about everything surrounding it. As much as I want to love the costume designs for being cool and aesthetic, if we're being honest, they are a little fetishy. And on the topic of that, I'd like to praise this game for having queer representation, but given everything surrounding it, I feel this was a choice done just so the game could have girls kissing each other instead of giving proper queer representation. The story really feels like the male gaze perception of a lesbian romance. The more I work on this video, the more I resent the game and the developer. They refuse to accept that anything in Dolltown is less than perfect, and anyone who disagrees is just too stupid to understand their genius. It's an infuriating ideology, and I'd like to believe that they'll get their shit together and learn from the failures here, but given how they've acted so far, I don't really see any change or improvement coming. I'd like to be proven wrong. I'd like to imagine that that new game they're working on is gonna be good, but my hopes aren't high for it, and honestly, I don't even think I want to play it. Like, fuck, everything here is so ass backwards. Even when I think I've reached the end of my talking points, I find more dumb shit to talk about. One of the biggest complaints everyone who played this game had is the combat is basic and has no depth in the slightest. Sure, horror games don't need great combat to be good, but when one of the biggest things advertised about this game was its wrestling, no shit, people are going to be disappointed. But the dev keeps saying the game was never supposed to be combat heavy, and people just misinterpreted the marketing. But like, that's all that was really advertised. The story was always a side note. You can't promise one thing, not deliver it, and then demand people not be let down. And that's pretty much how I feel about this whole game. let down. Nothing works as it should, and every element of this game is so disconnected from one another, it makes the game a muddled disaster. But even still, do not harass, spam, or go after the dev in any way whatsoever, regardless of how you feel about them as a person or their actions. That doesn't give you the right to witch hunt them. I'd like to end on a more positive note, but I don't think that's how this one should end. I always like to say support the indies, but not in this case. I can't tell you what to do, but if you want my opinion, just ignore Dolltown and Bad Wish Games as a whole. This game really doesn't deserve a bigger platform, it's not worth playing, and the dev is a total dick. If you do happen to like this game, good for you, I guess, but also pick your standards off the floor for fuck's sake. Like seriously, this game is so shit, but it has like maybe 2 redeemable moments, and the rest is a bunch of bullshit. Girl, love yourself some more and play better games. And cheaper ones too. God damn, that is a high price for a game less than 3 hours max. So in fact, I am gonna end on a positive note. Not on Dolltown, that game can burn in steam hell. But on a positive note for games I feel are similar, but much better. Seriously, don't play Dolltown, play any of these instead. Also, just a little side note, not all of these games are cheaper than Dolltown. A good amount of them are, but most hover around the same price, give or take a little bit. With that said, most of these games do regularly go on sale, so if you're willing to wait, you can definitely get some of these at bargain prices. Even the ones that cost more, I feel offer both more quality and more game time for what you're paying for. I'm only bringing this up to show how Dolltown is horrifically overpriced for what it's offering. If you want a good doomed Yuri story that isn't obsessed with piss, I highly recommend It Gets So Lonely Here. It's a short visual novel, around an hour long, but the writing is so fucking amazing and I loved all the routes. This gravedigger girl tore a hole in my heart and I will never recover. This one is free, but the dev has a ton more games on their page that I haven't played yet personally, but I have heard good things about them. This dev also advertised on social media, but did in a way that didn't fucking lie. Take notes, kids, this is how you make a good game. For a PS1 style horror, OK Normal is so good. I've talked about this one before, but that video sucks, don't watch it. That was old shitty Get Lost, this is new shitty Get Lost. But as for the game, it's a total fever dream in a similar vein to LSD Dream Emulator. The visuals in this game are absolutely hypnotic and unlike anything else I've ever played. Plus, it handles its themes of addiction way better than any of the concepts in Welcome to Stinky Town are portrayed. This one isn't for everyone, but it's over time become one of my favorite little indie games. There's nothing else that even compares to how I felt when I first played OK Normal. If you want a stupid wrestling game that looks like it was coded in a fucking trap house from hell, Hard Time 3 is God's gift to humanity. I genuinely have never laughed harder at a game in my life, and on top of that, the actual wrestling mechanics are somewhat deep. It's a weird, more realistic system, but it is genuinely fun, if a little jank at times. And if for some reason you insist on playing a weird horror game by a controversial dev, for the love of God, play Homicipher instead. It's actually good, if also weirdly fetishy, but at least this game always advertised as being lewd in nature. I did a whole video on this one, so watch that if you want to know more. But to sum it up quickly, it's a horror visual novel, and the catch is you have to figure out what everyone is saying on your own, as it's all in a made-up language. It's really weird, but it can be a lot of fun. For a really weird proper art house game, I would highly recommend both The Path and Disillusion for kind of the same reason. Disillusion is literally just a trippy, unexplainable fever dream that has made me cry on multiple occasions, and The Path is a classic indie horror game. It's a modern-day retelling of Little Red Riding Hood in the form of a walking sim, but completely unhinged. It has a lot of heavy themes of womanhood and femininity, and is definitely not for the faint of heart. But still, it is fucking amazing. Neither are for everyone, and both are inane and really hard to understand, but they both execute their visions wonderfully. Also, Disillusion has a prequel that I only just started playing, but I adore it so far. It's very similar, but a bit more experimental. Yes, it might be hard to believe, but it does get weirder than whatever the fuck is going on here. Finger Bones is the first game by developer David Szymanski, who went on to make famous playable fent trips like Scroll Stapler, The Pony Factory, Dusk, and the Markiplier one. This game is comparatively smaller by a lot, but it also works with its smaller scale really well. It's a short walking sim with a beyond grim ending. It genuinely does stick with you after you play, unlike Cleveland, Oregon's shitty attempts at being extreme or shocking. Also, if you're interested in this game purely because it's controversial, pick a better fucking controversy. Play Postal, play Spec Ops, play fucking Furry Feet, anything is better. No, I'm Not a Human and The Missing JJ Macfield are two of my absolute favorite games. Neither are even a little similar, but I feel they both kind of scratch the same itch. They're both made by very small teams and tackle very dark themes in a mature way that's both entertaining and impactful. The Missing is a puzzle platformer about the this adorable lesbian couple. It's heavy though, like at its most shocking, it is gut-wrenching, but still has an optimistic view on life. This game also has what I genuinely consider to be the best queer representation in any piece of media. So there's your proper gay representation, you cheapo depot. No, I'm Not a Human conversely handles its representation of isolation, depression, and mental illness in a far more beautiful way than Urinetown. It's bleak and heartbreaking at points, but fuck, it also has some of the most charming characters in anything I've ever played. Both of these games are getting videos at some point, I hope, but they are very long-term projects, so no promises. Here's a fucking last-minute addition to the recommendations, but I was talking with my best friend while editing, and they suggested you play Who's Lila instead of Dolltown. So just to prove that anything is better than Dolltown, I gave it a quick play, and wouldn't you know, the 30 minutes I played are infinitely better than all of fucking Dolltown. It's a game all about making faces and looking like Flipnote Studio. I can't say much as I just started it, but so far I like it. Poker Night: The Inventory is back, and it's so good. It has nothing in common with Dolltown. I've just been playing it a lot recently and wanted to bring it up. It's cheaper than Dolltown by quite a bit, and the TF2 items are available again, except you missed the dealer cap promotion. That's what you get for not being there for day one. But now that I say this out loud, if you want a simple video game with a shit ton of references, just play Poker Night. And really, that's the moral of the story. Just don't fucking play Dolltown. Do anything else!